Hi everyone, I think I'm going live. Oh, I am. And I'll just give you a few moments to join me here. Some of you might notice I'm backwards right now. Facebook's been a bit glitchy. I know where the controls are, I know how I should be able to turn it round, but it's not playing, so I'm backwards. But I think the artwork will be the right way round when I turn it round. Okay, I can see a few people are arriving. Hello Jackie, hello, oh Crafting Carol, hello everybody. Okay, yep, oh 23 people, that's pretty good. Creeping up there, I'll just give everybody a couple of minutes to join the group. Heidi's here, hello Heidi, hi Susie. Yes Susie, I saw your cheeky comment to James in the group. I'm going to try and keep it to 10 minutes. My tea's ready, that's the thing. I've put my rice on, so my tea will be ready. So, you know, I'm on a mission, 10 minutes. Oh, Frank is there, Colleen, hi Colleen. Oh, this is great. Hello, Anne. Oh, right, plenty of people are here. Yeah, so for those of you who are just joining, I'm currently backwards on the screen. Facebook just is a law unto itself sometimes. I know where the controls are, press the control, it's not let me turn it round. But when I turn the camera, the artwork should be the right way up. So here's hoping. Okay, so this is the last of the 10-minute sort of technique lives. So thank you everybody, welcome. Thank you very much for being here. Welcome to those of you who are joining late. I know what happens because people are busy at work or people are, well, this is like 4 AM in some countries. So, you know, we like colouring in, but 4 AM in the morning, you've got to be pretty hardcore. So I know a lot of people will catch up later. And then if you want to return to it, this is the whole point really of doing the quick 10 minutes is that you can just go back and find the technique that you need a reminder on or whatever. So look in the guides, on Paper Artsy People, or in my group, Create with Kate. Come and join me if you're not there already. And it will be on Featured. Look along the bar on the top. So today I'm doing some colouring in, just my style. So when I did my first launch with Paper Artsy, this was one of the things we got questions about, was my colouring in technique. Now there's no right or wrong way to do anything. All I can do, I'm just showing you my way, how I colour things in. I suppose I've developed quite a technique of loose pools, loose colour, kind of carefree style. I'm going to be using my tints, which are relatively new out and new to me, but also the infusions. These really pack a punch. There's an awful lot of colour in those and take a little bit of managing, but they are really, really nice to use. So let me just check my notes, what we need to be. Okay, I'm going to turn the camera around straight away, so brace yourselves while I have a little wiggle with the camera. Hopefully this will all be the right way up now. If I can turn the camera around, don't want to view up my nose. And there, oh, everything. Right, everything is even the right way up now. So we've got rid of backwards me, but we've got artwork the right way up. So I've got a few bits there ready. Now, let me just move those to one side a moment. And here are just some samples to have a little look at here. So in most of these, I've actually coloured in with my tints. Now, my tints is a glaze. It's not really reactive with water. It's transparent, translucent, though it's really, really good for layering over things where you want things to show through like text. But it's also really easy actually to colour in with. So all of these samples here have been coloured with my tints, and I like to leave, as you can see in all of mine, quite a bit of white space. That's because I like a lot of colour in my background, and if you have a lot of colour in your image and a lot of colour in the background, things can get a little bit lost. Having said that, I've seen some people do it in the Paper Artsy group and do it extremely well and very successfully. So as I said, I'm just showing you what works for me. And you can see with these little houses here, again, these are my tints. Look how much white space I've left there. And this is a little book I just shared this week. But here, you see this little fella? He is coloured in with the infusions over a background of infusions. So I did know it was all going to kind of tone and work together. So here's the background. This is one, I think this was one from last time that I did. But just to have a look here, this one, he's coloured in infusions. And he's coloured in with my tints. So you can see it's a slightly different look, similar technique. And here's some images I've got ready. Right, I'm going to start with my tints because it will give me a little bit of drying time. I've also got here a Posca and a Stabilo pencil, or any kind of dark pencil. This is fantastic for adding a bit of like shade, but really more depth once everything's dry. And these are two here. I've started earlier. These are done with the Matints. And I've done these because I wanted some that would dry so that I can add a little bit of shading on those. He's done a bit with Matints as well. And I just wanted to show you this one as well. The Matints is actually really, really easy to get a nice skin tone. So this one, I've got obviously a Caucasian skin tone. This one here, I've literally just used the Nutty, and it gives you this really nice brown skin tone that you can build up as well and build that up darker if you want to. Now, when I'm using my tints in this way, I usually don't even use a palette. Remember, a tint is a glaze. It's not a watercolour. It is a glaze, and if you leave it to dry in the palette, it will set solid colour. Also, peels off though in the same way that something like a gel medium would. I tend to keep brushes just for using with my tints because it will affect the bristles a little bit. Right, I'm going to carry on working on... No, let's work on this one because this has got quite a nice lot of open area to play about with here. So, as I said, I don't usually use a palette because I just use the lids. Saves any cleaning up. And I've got some kitchen roll ready. And I'm going to start with a pink. And I'm just going to work in a small area. And I'm going on with that neat pink colour. Now, if then you just clean off your brush and go around those edges. See how that's just built up a nice little puddle of colour, a pool of colour. Now I can go in with my second colour. Now when this dries, and it will possibly dry a little bit lighter, one of the great things about these is once it's dry, you can go back over, just cleaning off my brush there, and build up more colour on top. Now see how easy that is to blend out on the edges. Putting very sort of little effort into that, it just naturally, with a clean and dry-ish brush, I'm just blending out those edges. You can, of course, layer the colours on top, so I can put a bit of pink on here. Cleaning off my brush. And then blending in those edges. It's super easy to do. I'll try a bit of yellow as well here. Now, I'm not going to colour every little scrap of white space here. In between, when my brush disappears, it means I'm wiping it on the kitchen roll, by the way. And I might add a little bit of orange just on the edge there. I'm going to leave this centre bit white. And now somebody's commenting on the brush. Okay, I'll tell you about this brush, because I panic about losing these. I love them so much. And it is just a little Winsor & Newton travel brush. And they're really cheap, and they also have this really nice fine point, which is brilliant for colouring in detail on images. But I buy them about 3 or 4 at a time, because if I lose one, I would panic. That's how sad I am about brushes. Yeah, somebody else, and I'm sorry, I've just lost the name, but somebody else just said, yeah, use different brushes for different mediums. Definitely, we've all done it. We've done it in that moment of impatience. Think, oh, I'll just use my watercolour brush for this gel medium, it won't matter. It does matter. It does matter. They won't ever be the same again. So yeah, keep a spare brush. So you can see how I'm just building that up in pools of colour. Do you know, if I was colouring images in at home to use in my art projects, what I would do, if I was just kind of doing this in my own time, I would have several in a row, because it makes so much sense to have colour on your brush and to add a bit of pink on that one and the next one and so on. Then it means you get several coloured all at once. And also, when you're choosing an image then for a project, you are you're not overthinking the colours, because it's already on there. And I'm just going to finish this bit down here, and then I'll show you how easy it is to mix the skin tone. Now I'm going to leave this one to dry a little bit. Now somebody's asking what paper to use. Right, Sam, I've actually stamped all of these images today on Paper Artsy Smoothie paper. I think the Matins aren't that fussy about what surface you use them on. However, infusions are, because they have got so much water content. So I do find that Paper Artsy, the smoothie paper, this is the lighter weight one that I'm using, really works very well, and works well with the infusions, which has a really high water content. If it's asking, can we get the Matins in the UK? Yes, you definitely can. And if you check on the Paper Artsy blog, there's a list of UK suppliers, retailers, so you can have a look. Now I'm just going to bring in the palette. I don't really usually use palettes with this, but I'm mixing a bit of the pink with a bit of the orange, maybe a bit of the yellow. And I might just use a little bit of water on my brush. And this is a really, really simple, the Caucasian skin tone. And again, I'm only going around the edge. I like to leave a lot of white in the centre. Right, blend those edges in. And then pick up a little bit more of the colour. And that's a really, really easy way. And even when you end up with that line around like that, you can just blend that in. And as I said, if you want to use a darker skin tone, then straight on with the Nutty, build it up in layers, gives you this really nice brown skin tone. Now I'm going to leave her, obviously she's not finished, I'm going to leave her for now just to dry a little bit, and we'll come back to that. And now I'm switching brushes to my non-medium brush. So this is the one I just really keep more for watercolour, or water-based medium. So this time I'm going to use infusions. Now I know a lot of people will put a pinhole in their lid so they can spray out a shaker or so on. I don't, because I like to use colour neat from, hang on, I'm just getting some water from the bottle. I've wet my brush and I'm mixing up that colour. Now there's a lot of colour there. Oh, people are still joining us. I can just see. Sorry, I can't see very well. I can't multitask very well. That's the problem. But hello to the newcomers. Thank you for joining us. So I've got my very strong colour here, and this time I've added quite a bit of water. Start light and add more colour. Now once you go on with a wet patch, puddle, whatever you want to call it here, when I add more colour to this, because it's wet, it's water-based, the colour is going to travel through in a similar way that it would do with watercolours. So it takes a little bit more managing, but I quite like it because it's a little bit more reactive. So I'm still working, look, just in a puddle. Oh, somebody's saying now get what infusions are. Well, yes, infusions are, but they're also really good for doing things like this, the backgrounds. So I did a little live on that last time. But, you know, when you have a product, there are more ways to use it. So it's just worth playing about and seeing what it will do. As well, it means that if you're using infusions for your background and infusions for your image, it kind of tones in. Now see how I've added much darker down the edge here. One of the things is when you mix it with water like this, so you'll probably know this, but maybe not everybody knows this, that in the infusions there is a walnut crystal. So when you use them with spray water, you will see the obvious walnut crystal develop, so you'll get these brown flecks. When you're using it this way, you're mixing it with water, you won't, because the walnut is mixing in with the colour as you add the water. Now you can see that travelling look. So clean off your brush, dry off your brush, and just blend those edges out. And when I say clean off your brush, let me show you what that looks like. That's all I'm doing. I'm just adding it onto the onto my kitchen roll. Now I'm picking up, this is Golden Sands. And so there's my lighter version of it, a lot more water. And I'm avoiding the centre. I don't want to colour every scrap, remember? Sorry, sometimes I do find it easier to flip images round. And now I'm going on with that stronger colour. And allowing that to travel. So you can see there's quite a difference in the way that they behave, and there's difference in the way that you can build up that colour. Now to do skin tone, we need to be really careful here, because it's not a bad idea just to test it on a scrap of card first. These have got so much pigment, we don't want to go on with that very, very strong pigment and give her a bright pink face. So again, I'm just working around the edge. Dry off my brush, blend those edges in. So all I've done there is mix the, what colour was I using? Was it raspberry? No, cerise with the Golden Sands. So it's basically making like a pale orange. And then just take it a little bit darker. Now I'll just do a little bit more on the pink here, and then I'm going to just finish off some shading. I'm already way over time. You can build up, especially with infusions, you can build that up a strong colour as you want, because it really will let you do that. There's so much colour in those little bottles. Okay, so I'm not going to colour all in. You've seen the process, you've seen how that works, but let's just go back now So this is the one I was colouring in just previously. Now that's dry, Michelle's going to catch up later. She's had customers in the shop. Well, it'll still be there. It's going to be pinned in the guides. So now it's dry, look, I can add more colour on top. And you can see how that really builds up the colour so much stronger. Now what I am going to do is, let's have a look for one. Okay, so this is the one that I was colouring in earlier today. So this is dry now. And the reason why I'm doing this dry is I'm using a Stabilo All Pencil, which is, it's water soluble. So if I go onto anything wet, it immediately runs and turns into black ink. You can do this with any dark pencil. So something like a Palomino Blackwing, or, oh, I've got a set of things like this as well. Just like, these are the darker, up to an 8B, something like that. Really just looking for a really nice dark pencil. When I design my stamps, I put these little dotted areas in, and this is a really good indication of where you can go in with the shading. Now I add quite a lot of dark. I don't think you notice it once it becomes, let's just have a look, once it becomes part of a project, there's a lot of dark shading in there. Sometimes it looks a bit dark when you first put it on an image, in the same way that sometimes when you paint just skin tone and nothing else is coloured, it looks a bit funny. You've got to kind of work with everything. Like, she'll look better once she gets her hair in, for instance. Once you get this black on here, it looks so much better once it gets onto your background. Now start light, you can add more. It's not so easy to take away. And all I'm doing is literally going over those dotted areas. I'm turning it again just because I find it easier to work that way. You see how dark that actually is, but once you get that on your background, it just gives it so much more depth. Without it, you can really see the difference there. And you can do that over your infusions and over the matins, and also with your white pen if you want to. You can add some extra little, quite often I just add dots, quite handy in the middle of cheeks. And I tell you where this is really good, if you've bodged a bit and your colour's gone over the edge. Oh, there's a bit, look. It's a bit like using a correction pen, like a Tipp-Ex. Okay, and that's basically it. So working in puddles of colour, leaving some white space, even around faces and things, just working around the edge, clean off your brush, blend it in between, and then add a bit of Stabilo pencil or similar, or a little white pen, little gel dots at the end, and hopefully that will work. Right. Now it's dinner time. I'm going to get my dinner. I will finish these properly, and when I've done them, I'll post them in the comments underneath, so you can go and check what it's like when they're completely done, and hopefully you'll be sharing some of your projects too. Thanks for joining me, everyone. Thanks. Bye.